Hey everyone. So, like I said in my last video, I've actually made a couple videos in the last like 24 hours. So I made a comment that I figured they'd be dropping something new about the update probably today, and sure enough, they did. So we have Solo Outposts. Let me go ahead and maximize this so it's the whole screen. Make sure that the subtitles are on. Real quick, first impressions. I like it. I like the idea. If I'm the kind of person that likes to just give, I don't want to give criticism. I like to give a critique, maybe even some things that might improve it and make it better, right? So I like the idea of solo outposts. This is just kind of before we get into the video. From the video, it sounds like it's going to be kind of a mixture of an armada, because you have to attack the outpost first, and then it kind of becomes yours. And then there's every 5 minutes there's a wave of attacks, and the more waves of attacks that you can defend, you increase your rewards. That's a pretty cool system. There's a couple things that I think kind of are different for the way that the Star Trek Fleet Command gameplay normally functions. But we'll actually have to see how it turns out. But what I would have liked to have seen, not as a criticism of this actual gameplay, but just kind of like a way to kind of involve to invest us as a player more in the concept. It would have been cool if the outpost that we were defending was our own. So we kind of relocate our base to a location. This would, because I think I have like 1,000 relocation tokens at this point. That's kind of like, a lot. Again, not that it really matters. I mean, again, I said this in the last video. I don't really care about the database, counts or whatever. That doesn't. I mean, that's not my concern. As a player, that's a application concern. That's my dog. But I think it would have been cool to kind of like transform that currency into some new gameplay type. And so the outpost that we're defending would be our own. So we move into that, and then it becomes our outpost. So we can then actually use some of those characters that are used for defense play. Maybe even you could have made it so that there were slots at the defense outpost that you slot with your own characters and officers, rather. That would have been cool. I like the idea of reusing old content and moving it forward. And I think that would have been a great opportunity to do this here. And you'll see why, because I've already watched the video a couple times. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what's coming. But you'll see why again, that's not a criticism of what's coming out. I just think that would be kind of a great vision for the game moving forward, is like, how do you take some of the old stuff, move it into the future, and kind of keep it all alive and vibrant. It still gives you the opportunity as a company to make money, but it also allows you to kind of use the old stuff as well. So I'm going to keep the volume off, but the closed caption on. So we got Solo Outposts. Here's our man. Hit it. So he's just introducing here the new outposts. It's for 51 plus. I love this picture. I love the way that it looks. I like the color in this. So you're going to have this. So it's going to come out as a feature, and then it's going to come out as an event later on that will play. So that's going to be interesting when they put that in. Let's see. You have, So this is, you have to attack the outpost first, and then you get to slot some ships in. It's unclear right now if you can attack the ship or the outpost with, like, say, 3 ships, and then only slot 1 in for defense, or if you can only attack the outpost with as many defense slots as you have, because what you get as you raise the outpost, the building that's associated with this, is more slots for defense. And again, I'm just kind of skipping ahead here. So they're not classified as hostiles or armadas, meaning the crews for those won't work, which I think is interesting because it's just going to mean it's going to probably just be straight up kick your enemy's butt. So it's not going to be focused around invading entities or armadas. And I think it said it doesn't even work against like hostiles. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, crews with hostile specifics. So, and then he's going to go through this. I'm just going to pause it here. I'm going to take this off. You can read those. He's just going to go through the loop here. Basically, everybody gets the starting currency will be on a daily drip. And then you have to build a building, which improves your abilities to fight it. Then each one will have temporary buffs, kind of like exocomps is what I'm seeing these as. So once you get an outpost, you can do buffs that are temporary while you hold the outpost. Excuse me. And then you get those. I'm guessing I'm not really sure if these buffs are outside of the outpost or inside, just apply to the outpost. I'm not really sure, but those will be answered when it's all released. And then you'll have a refinery. And the refinery is going to have lots of materials and stuff like that. So remember when I said why I buy the stuff? It's not usually because the building is fantastic, because the building is really just going to enhance what we have here as part of the game. But it's going to add refinery options. So the more refinery options you have, the more materials you get, etc., etc. Let's see. So I'll just pause it here so you can see that. And then we'll go to the next one. All right. And then we'll go to the next one. While holding the outpost, retaliation attackers. So the retaliation attackers are going to be spawned to hit your outpost. That's why I think it would have been cool if it would have been our base. So I think we would have been more emotionally and egotistically involved in this process because it'd be our base, right? Like we would have like a vested, personalized interest in this. So as opposed to just being some random temporary event that takes place, like I think it would have been cool if we would have been able to post our bases out there and just just leave them there and they're going to be attacked. And maybe we don't lose any of our own personal resources. That'd be kind of taking it a little bit too far, maybe. But we might get some significant bonus, but have some payment in response to it. Like, maybe if we're out there, like maybe we can't shield while we're out there, as one example, right? And because we can't shield, that leaves us open to attacks by other players. But at the same time, we get massive benefits or bonuses to PvP, PvE, maybe to loot or things like that. Or there could be things that we unlock as a result of exposing ourselves into these outposts. And then, just having some other... I think that would be a great way to get players involved in the process of PvPing. But, there's a suggestion out there. Maybe that'll hit in somebody's ears. Then the last part... when it does fall, that's when you'll receive your whatever rewards you get for leaving it there. So I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, I think it would have been cool if there would have just been more personal player ego placed into the formation of this idea. So let's keep going. So this is where I was talking about how you get these temporary benefits when you actually secure an outpost. So the process is you go attack an outpost. That outpost is yours. You get some interface to upgrade your outpost while you're there defending it. Obviously, it helps to defend it for longer periods of time. And then as you defend it for a longer period of time, you eventually get some benefits. I think the resource that they're using to spend here is interesting because for G6 players, it's not so much a problem for G5. But for G6 players, this one right here, that trill, golly, I'm sorry, guys. There's just so many words in this game. It's not the parsteel, the trilithium. There's trilithium and dilithium, right? Is that right? Let me just double check. So I don't look like a total goobs. Yeah, tritanium, not trilithium. See? My brain is just tritanium. That tritanium expense, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty big thing because in G6, that's a lot. Like you're scrounged once you get in mid G6 territory, you are just scraping for titanium. So anyway, just thought it was interesting for that. So then you have your base or your Outpost Control Center, which levels up what you can do. It doesn't have a lot to add in base play, right? So you can see all of it's pretty much focused on the event itself, right? So, you get the fragments, storage, capacity, your loot from there, weapon damage. Everything you get is pretty much just related to this outpost system. So, is it going to be important to level? I mean, if you're going to play that, yeah. I mean, it's going to be another loop that if you choose to participate in, then yeah, you're going to have to level it up. I think 40 is going to be really kind of your sweet spot. I think it says here at 40 you get the extra spots. Let's see. I think that's when you get all your 3 spots. So here they're attacking this is where they're attacking it sort of Armada style. And then once they actually gain it, those ships will become part of the fleet that defends the outpost. So then here is your refinery. I'm assuming that if you're G6, you'll get G6 materials. You're G5, you'll get G5 materials. Oops, I think I took off. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, so then there's different types. I like this. I like that there's different flavors for different types of nodes, or rather outposts, because this is actually the name of this particular style of outpost. They have different abilities. So that's kind of cool. They're located in different locations. Think of it this way. The reds or the nodes are by the Klingon. This is weird because these ones are by the Kardashian. The Borg are by the... I called them Cardassian. Cardassian. And I'm not going to be a YouTube channel known for its proper pronunciation, right? The nodes are by the Klingons, and then the Romulans. There's an area where Independence Base that has just sort of practice mode, and then you have the G7, which is kind of like has them all. And then each node type has its own different type of attacks. So it'll change up who you use to go and get them. And then as you level it, right, you get different buffs from, I'm assuming this is as you level the building, by the way, because I can't imagine this is tied to anything else except for maybe ops. Let's see. So you can go and look. I'm not going to really speak too much on the abilities because I don't know how much or how good they are. I mean, you get weapon damage, but again, these are temporary. I don't see a spot where it says how long it'll last. Probably just as long as you hold the outpost. So that's, I don't know how long that's going to be. It doesn't say. So retaliation ships remaining. Yeah. It's probably how many you're going to have to kill. The increments that they attack in are 5-minute increments, which I think is interesting also. That's why I said earlier. That's why I said earlier about it's kind of an interesting way that they're doing this because, if you think about a wave, you tie up 3 ships. and a solo wave will tie you up for about 10 minutes. And then let's see, in armadas they tie you up for about 15 minutes, but they're tying up one ship. If you get in 3 different armadas, which you can, if you know you launch one and 2 other friends launch 2 other ones, you can be in up to 3 armadas and tying up 3 ships. And so there you're tying up 3 ships for maybe up to 15 minutes. I'm trying to think of other parts of the game that kind of sequester ships from you. Armadas. I haven't played the new G7 Surge, I think it's called. So I don't know how many that. I think that takes all your ships, but I don't think it's very long. I think that's like 5 minutes. Then you have arenas, which will take about 10 minutes of your time. They'll tie up your ships and you as well. The thing the thing about this one though, and what I don't know is what I'm curious to find out is, say you take 3 of your ships. Do I have to manage the ships? If I don't have to manage the ships, that's great. I think that's a good. I think that'll be a good improvement on the feature. But if I have to manage the ships, meaning I have to pick the targets to attack, the rewards kind of I think need to be pretty good because you'll have to wait 5 minutes between attacks. So at least from what I'm hearing so far, so that's a long time to wait with just doing nothing with your ships tied up. I could see there being, maybe if you think about a ship, you can take it takes about 5 seconds per ship encounter. So like the moment you click on attack and the attack sequence begins, the attack animation, it doesn't matter how many rounds it takes, but it's about 5 seconds, which means within a minute you can do. It's probably about maybe 6 seconds. I've never timed it specifically, but I'd say it's between 5 and 7 seconds for the animation. That means you could probably do about like if they're right on top of you and you're not having to travel at all, you could do maybe 9 ships in a minute. So if you have 3, that's 27 ships in a minute. Again, this is assuming that there's no travel time and you're not having to manage them. The server side is kind of managing all these attacks. So that's 27 ships in a minute. I'm seeing retaliation ships remaining 72. If you break that down, that's like maybe 4 sequences. So that's about a 20 to 25 minute, encounter. If I don't have to manage it, great. I'm all in. I'll put my ships out there. Boom, boom, boom. Just kind of doing it. Put my, because remember, if you watch my other video, the one ship I won't use, and it'll be interesting to see if they're going to even allow it here, which I bet they won't, is the junker ship, right? The GS-31. So because the GS-31 could theoretically take out 5 ships at once every minute and a half or so. So plus it can attack. So it can actually do 6 ships in a single sweep. I'm not sure if they're going to allow that. They might allow the Borg because the Borg does 1 ship, maybe 2, plus an attack. So the Borg would be able to do 3 ships in a very short sequence. But that would mean you'd have to be managing the ship. If this is just sort of like an autonomous thing, you put your ships out there and the waves come in and you can just sit back and watch. To me, I think that'll be fine. I'm not going to say I'd enjoy it just because I'm not doing anything, but I don't mind minimal effort for some good rewards or even moderate rewards. Where I think that where I think it would have been better again is if it were my base, right? Because then I'd watch it. I'd like be on a hawk the whole time, checking to see how my base is doing. Because it's my base, right? So there's, like I said, there's some ego built in. But I see this number 72 ships remaining, retaliation ships. I interpret that to mean some number of ships coming in per wave. And again, if you're not managing them, it's automatic targeting. Your ships could maybe do 72 ships within about 20 minutes. About 20 minutes if the animation's about 5 or 6 seconds long and the ships have to travel, so that's probably about 4 or 5 attacks or rounds. Let's see. Okay, let's go on. That's just gameplay assumption. All right. So you're gonna have to deal protect it. These are your upgrade buffs. Again, you have some towards PvP, some towards PvE. You get different types: Apex Barrier, Defense ISO, Apex Shred. There was one that gave you mining speed or something like that. So it's going to be different types. Want to say something really quick about that too. I think they should have had the variation in the node types or the outpost types. It's great visually as well as attack. I don't think they should have had so much variation on the rewards. And the reason is because people tend to min-max. And there's going to be a combo here that's going to be effectively the best among them all, right? And I think you're going to have saturation there. So if they do the same thing that they've done in the past, which is have a limited number of systems that have these, which it sounds like they do, and then all of these have different abilities, people are going to focus on the best abilities, which means people are going to be left out because there's not going to be enough systems. So from a design perspective, I think these buffs should have been pretty much in line with each other, or the distribution should be such that people just will go whatever. It doesn't matter what you go after. You're going to get something good. And you're going to get something that's blah, right? But I don't know which one's belonging to which, and again, they're not going into full detail, so it's hard to know what. But I can tell you some of the ones I would go for. And again, this just depends on how long the buffs last. If the buffs are just available to the ships that are in the outpost, then it probably doesn't matter. But if the buffs apply to all of your ships while you're in the outpost, and the outpost is automated, that's going to make a big difference. And that's stuff they don't really answer here. In other words, it doesn't really answer if I can put my ships out there and go walk away, come back 20, 30 minutes later, and everything's done. Or put my ships out there and go play something else while that's taking place. And if I can, are those buffs going to affect all of my ships? Now, this one here happens to say crit chance for all ships against hostile and armada targets. That seems to suggest that I can go and do an armada while this is active. So, I don't know. We'll see. Here's all the information on the news. This is just more information on the refinery. And then we have, I don't remember his name, but he's going to go and give us his hit it. Oh, so we're going to get some prime particles. It looks like different kinds if the picture is accurate. Retaliation hijacked refits. This is interesting because I think, if I remember correctly, these were like for the G5s. I don't think any G6 had hijacked refits, but I'm not sure because I didn't see any for my G6 uncommons. I don't know what the plunderer is. He does go into it a little bit here because you get some sort of like you get these titles, and these titles give you something. And let's see. Okay. I have to say, I love that officer. I think that officer is just so cool. Yeah. I'm not sure which group she's going to belong to, if she's going to belong to her own group. There was a mention of DS9 earlier in the video. If you have not bought your technologies or favors that reduce the various groups, do so. Because my sense of their development is that they will continue to release more expansions in the future that tie into basically the Star Trek IP. And when they do, if it's tied into something like the DS9, the Deep Space Nine series, they'll probably add those characters, to the DS9 groups. If not Scopely, I think that would be a great way that you can reward players for having played the game, moving forward and making something that's in the past valuable in the future as well. By the way, it's kind of like what I mentioned earlier about the old officers. But if you haven't, they're good anyway, so get them. But it'll be cool if this officer is part of the DS9, because then that'll mean I'll almost certainly unlock her, because she'll only be about maybe 76 or 86 shards for me, which should be doable. But I just think the officer's cool, man. I mean, that officer looks awesome. And then apparently, probably if you're 70 or higher, you'll be able to start getting some more vengeance chips. Let's see what else we got. And then this, which is useful. Very, very slow drip on that stuff. And you get it basically from these titles here. So it doesn't go into too much depth of how these titles work, but you get them from completing stuff, obviously. But I just think that officer's really cool. I want to use other words, but I can't. Okay, so blending endurance, resource management, and strategic depth. Okay. So once again, this is going to be a situation where if you want to buy it to progress quickly through the content, again, don't buy, you don't have to buy, you don't have to spend $1,000 on the packs. Like I've said in the past, I usually just buy the opening building, or usually what they'll do with the buildings is they'll give you like the first tier of the building, and then there's an upgrade pack for it. So that's probably what I'll do, or what I'd like to do. And yeah, so I mean, I'm excited about it. Like I said, I would just a couple of notes moving forward, just from my own perspective as a player. It'd have been cool or cooler if it was our outpost that we were defending, even if it was just graphically. And if everybody talks, there's been a lot of talk about getting I forget what they're called. They're basically when you can change, like the refits, right, for your ships. There's another term that some other YouTubers have used, but they talk about using them for ships. To me, I think the ships is probably not as good, because, I mean, if you just look at how the game is played, right? I mean, the game is generally played from this perspective. So if I go to my ships, right, I don't really look at my ships unless I zoom in. And the game isn't really playable. I'm kind of getting off target here, but I do want to kind of bring it back to what I was going to say. The game isn't really playable in this format, right? So that's why we all zoom out. That's why there's a whole, add-on that zooms it out even further. I don't put it on. I don't play with it, but I've seen it where the whole system is zoomed out. So paying for refits, to me, from the way that I've seen other players play the game, in terms of like, other YouTubers, the way I play the game, the fact that there's a mod out there that allows you to zoom out so you can see the entire map, I don't think ship refits would be the thing to sell. That being said, every time you go to your base, this is what you see. I mean, this is really the only way you see your base. So I think refits on the base would be pretty cool. You could kind of go sort of a more pristine look for, if you kind of consider yourself more Federation, you can go kind of envision what the bases might look like for Klingons and for Romulans. You could have Vulcan. I mean, you could have Cardassian. You could have all sorts of bases. In addition to that, this whole event could have been an opportunity to have base refits. So there's my suggestion. Like, base refits would be pretty cool. I think people would like those because they generally do play their base by looking at it. So I think that's it for the video. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. Man, dude, that officer is just cool. It's like looking at a vampire. I think that's what I like about it most. She just looks like a vampire. Ah, gosh, just keep missing it. Hold on. If I like her, you're going to have to like her too, guys. There she is. She just looks like a vampire. That's what I think it is. I think she looks cool. But we don't get to see her abilities, so that might be on the web page itself. Let me see. I know I've got it somewhere around here. Oh, yeah, it's right there. I'm on it. So let's see if we can see what her ability is. It's probably here. Yeah, see, so they're making outposts, right? Different outposts for different types of mobs. So, I think it would be kind of cool if they would have just taken these and let us have some for our own. And then give us a whole pack to work towards. I'm not seeing her as an officer. Okay. Okay, let's see. Here it is. So you build the outpost control, generate materials, launch a capture, hold the line. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. Once captured, retaliation, attack, or strike every 5 minutes. Only the ships that captured the outpost can defend it. So there's the answer to that question I was asking earlier. You cannot reinforce or replace it, survive it, repel up to 72 total attacks across 6 hours. Oh, guys. That suddenly changed everything. So you're going to take 3 of my ships away, presumably my top ships, away for 6 hours. I don't know if I like that. Maybe it's just fake ships. Maybe it's like represented ships. I don't know. Let's see. But that does suggest that the buffs you get during those 6 hours would hold for other places. So you're going to have to be, if these take your ships, if you lose your ship, like for me, what that would mean, if we just go to my top ships, for example, right? Like I can tell you right now, the ship I won't use for this is my GS-31. That's my most powerful ship, so I wouldn't use it. Even though this is my most powerful ship numerically, it's very weak comparatively because I only get 3 slots under 2 slots. Yeah, I only have 2 slots. But I will use this one because it's not my top ship. But I would probably use this one, or Relativity. These would probably be the 3 ships I'd use right here. The Relativity, the Rotaran, and the Dideridex. I've stopped leveling up my U.S. Enterprise. I'll probably level it up when there's a spend. Could also use the blue, although these guys are not leveled very high either. So these are 8 of 12, 10 of 12. Oh, wow, 10 of 12. That's interesting. My Borg, I said in another video, I'm not sure that I'm going to level this up very much. It's a real pain in the butt. But, I mean, maybe this might change that, to have another ship. Because, like I said, you won't, if it's tying up 3 ships at most, you're not going to be able to run waves for 6 hours. Well, assuming you can defend it for 6 hours, right? But if you can defend it for 6 hours, you're not going to be able to run waves for 6 hours. You're not going to be able to run all that many armadas for 6 hours. So it's a real big time commitment. So, I don't know. That seems like quite a bit. Let's see if we can get back there. So, yeah, that changes it a little bit for me. But if it were my base that I was protecting, I wouldn't mind it. The ego changes everything. Let's see. I'm looking for the officer abilities, but it doesn't seem like they have her. Like if they were to give out skins or they were to sell a skin, let's say for like $10, I would get the Borg skin. Dude, that looks cool. Because that's another thing that they could do, right? They could like do all these skins where even on your ships, where if you kind of like you're Romulan, but you also like the Borg, you could like have an assimilated Romulan independent squad, so you can buy refits for all your ships, or you can buy the theme of the Borg, right, which is the transwarp drive. So you can buy that for all your ships. That'd be kind of cool. You create a whole new different faction where you work up, and those are the kinds of things you get. Let's see. That one looks just too much like the what are they? The Nova Squadron from from Marvel. So that's what that one looks like to me. This one doesn't look very Star Trekky. It looks basically like this one, but with yeah, it is that one, but turned slightly and has some transigen outgrowths on it. Let's see, is there a different one? Yeah. So I think this is probably the best looking one, and I think if I could get my operations looking like a Borg, that would be cool. All right, let's see. Quick tips: bring officers whose abilities work in any encounter. Hostile only and Armada only abilities will not trigger here. Okay. Plan for a session that can last up to 6 hours if you aim to clear all 72 waves. There you go. 6 hours. Wow. Use the combat triangle to direct incoming damage. That means I have to manage it. So you want me to play for 6 hours managing it. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Upgrade the Outpost Control Center for more loot, better damage, stronger, 3-ship offense, outpost at center at 40. Yeah, so it's at 40. You get the 3 ships. Keep the outpost held to maintain your temporary buffs for both defense and your wider fleet. So that answers that other question. Well, having the direct for 6 hours, I don't know how they're going to do that. I really don't. Every 5 minutes for 6 hours? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. But okay. Well, like I said, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Let's see. Retaliation plunder. That's just all right. Well, as soon as I learn more about the officer, I'll post something on her. So we'll see you all on Tuesday when we start playing it. Talk to you all soon. Bye.